Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Inside Edge. It's Wednesday, August 6th. And if you've never heard of Joe Fay, then you've never had a really long talk with Tom Giblin. Joe Fay was one of New Jersey's most powerful and controversial labor leaders. And his rise from barroom brawler to union boss helped shape Jersey politics for nearly 3 decades. But it was the scandal that brought him down that wound up changing the outcome of a race for governor. Uh, Fay started out. He was in upstate New York. Had a run with the law. I mean, quite literally. Sometime during World War I, he'd been shot by a cop during a bar fight, and a friend connected him to Newark mobster Longy Zwillman, who promised him a fresh start across state lines. Fay became the business manager of the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825. This was the early 1920s. He quickly built a power base for himself. He kept getting reelected to one-year terms until he'd had enough of seeking reelection and had his union declare him reelected for life. That was Fay. He was tough. He was relentless, deeply entrenched, but not everyone admired his style. There were allegations in the early 30s that Joe Fay was extorting money from subway contractors in New York City. The American Federation of Labor suspended him and Local 825 in the early 30s. 2 years later, a critic of Fay's was gunned down outside his home in Teaneck. Fay was investigated. He was never charged, and his behavior didn't soften with age. At a labor conference in the early 40s, the president of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, David Dubinsky, proposed an anti-racketeering resolution. Fay responded the only way he knew how. He walked over to Dubinsky and punched him in the face. And in the late 40s, Fay's world came crashing down. He was convicted of extorting more than $700,000 from contractors. In the late 40s, that was a lot of money. And he was sent to prison, and Jersey was left to pick up the pieces. But, the story doesn't end there. In 1953, the Republican candidate for governor was Paul Trost, and he seemed like a lock to win until the New York Times ran a story that Trost had written a letter to New York Governor Tom Dewey seeking a clemency for Fay. And the timing couldn't have been worse. The AFL had endorsed Trost, but the CIO was backing Bob Miner, the Democratic candidate. The Fay letter painted Trost as being soft on corruption. That narrative stuck. The Trost campaign went into a tailspin, and Miner won the governorship by over 150,000 votes. This was a defeat attributed directly to the ghost of Joe Fay. After his release from prison, late 1950s, Fay moved to the Jersey Shore. He started selling cars. He lived there quietly for the rest of his life, collecting a union pension that he had never paid into. That's it for today, everybody. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow.